I felt the very important obligation to make a video reacting to this and also react to it blind. Um, I've been very excited for this new SpongeBob movie because Derek Dryman, one of the main showrunners of Pre-Movie, is involved with it after like years and years of not being involved with the show. And it seems like there's like a lot of good crew members behind it. And I mean, it's the first SpongeBob movie that's going to be actually coming out in theaters in 10 years. Because like the third one didn't because of the pandemic. This is always a huge event whenever a SpongeBob movie comes out in theaters. You know, when Sponge Out of Water came out 10 years ago, I was ecstatic. It was a beautiful time. I hope this, it's going to be obviously not a 2D movie, which I would prefer, but whatever this ends up being, I really hope it lives up to the expectations. Because I thought Sponge on the Run was, like, it had some moments that did hit some pretty good marks. Like, some of the songs in the movie were really good. Like, I think I'd go back to that soundtrack a couple times. I think a lot of the dialogue was kind of off for the show. Not really entirely, like, off for the humor, but it's just something about it just didn't feel like the show. And then you just get Camp Coral, which I don't think anyone likes. This, I'd imagine, doesn't really try and sell you on a new spin-off from just, like, the plot just seems kind of standalone. It seems like it's trying to do its own thing. And I've seen, like, a lot of, like promo images and stuff and, like, concept art and things like that. And it looks very faithful to the style of the show, the design philosophy of the show. I think those are the things that are very important in maintaining, especially if you're going to get Derek Dryman back. You'd expect that he knows basically like the ins and outs of how you do the SpongeBob animation, you know? That's the thing. I trust that this keeps that energy and that, you know, whatever I'm about to watch. I saw like one frame of SpongeBob and he looked really good in that frame alone, but I'm going into this 1 minute teaser basically blind. So am I off center? I don't know where to look. I look totally I need to like shave. I need to do something with my face. I look not the best. I literally got out of bed and got ready, and this is the best I could do when I was like in a rush. I guess nothing else to do except I might like react to it and then go back like frame by frame. That might be my plan. I think that'll be the best option. I don't know what anyone's been saying about it yet. I don't know what's going on. I'm literally basically as blind as possible, which is rare for me. I always spoil myself on everything I watch. I always just end up seeing something on Twitter. I always get something spoiled. I guess I should just start watching. I'm just scared to. I feel like I've been putting it off like this entire morning. I've been like going slowly, trying to like like I've been like rushing, but also like like not wanting to get to it. And I've been like eating cereal and stuff. I'm just scared that it's going to be like not what I want it to be. Okay.
This Christmas, something big is coming to
Okay.
theaters.
I'm ready!
Wait, that's good. They honestly look like one of the video games, honestly.
Sorry.
Where they've never.
Oh, I like the pirate. Oh my god.
The underworld! It's not for the faint of heart!
That's a pretty good voice for him.
My lucky brick.
SpongeBob just shot a brick.
Taking SpongeBob
Oh.
to the deepest, most dangerous part of the sea. The underworld.
Underwear?
Good one.
Underwear.
That's a good one. That's a good
SpongeBob
one.
movie. Search for SquarePants.
Destiny is squeezing my buns. Feel it.
But don't let me slow you down.
Okay. No, that was good. That was SpongeBob. That's the first thing I can say. That felt good. That felt very accurate to the style of just how these characters are usually seen. Like, compared to Sponge on the Run, which really went for that, like, season 1 kind of look in kind of an inauthentic way. I think this is very much trying to just look as close to the show as possible in terms of just like keeping them like very close to like the early models. I don't know. It's like this shot, like the way that they're lit here, it kind of feels a little bit like plasticky, like Plankton's Robotic Revenge or something, like one of those mid 2010s video games. I really do like how they're designed though. I think the expressions are awesome. I do say plasticky, but it's like, it's good. And I don't think the characters need to look too like realistic. I don't think you need to see their pores. I think this is good because it's like so cartoony that if anything, you just want them to look as basic as possible and very like simplistic with how they're textured and stuff. So I'll take it. There's a lot of ass jokes. Like there's a bunch of butt jokes in this trailer. Like they're showing a lot of that kind of stuff. Like what's happening here? I really like the pirate theme of this movie. I'm very excited to see, because I saw there was some pictures of merchandise, like theater merchandise, and they had like all the characters in pirate outfits, and that's kind of the angle they're going for merchandising this movie. I think that's beautiful. I think that's brilliant. I think that's going to give a very nautical edge that the show hasn't had in a while, just like relating it to a lot of like sea kind of stuff, like pirate aesthetics. I think that's the kind of stuff that the show hasn't had in a while. I think that's going to be really cool. Or anything that makes it feel like it's underwater, I'll always take, because anytime they make it feel, or anytime they connect it to the fact that they're underwater, I think is some of the best stuff, because it's showing that like we care about the fact that this is what the show is, you know. It's like we care that this was how it was starting out, and you know, the charm of it going into it in the beginning of the show was all the nautical aesthetic to it, and all the coral reefs and all the pirate aspects. You know, Patchy the Pirate was in every promo promoting it and things like that. And just nowadays, you don't get any of that. Patchy barely even shows up. He's like a cartoon version of himself in some of this. It's kind of a disaster. They look very good. And okay, I think Mark Hamill's gonna take some getting used to, but also that's a really good model for him. I really like that. I think he's gonna be designed very well. And I think like the voice is very good. Like it's as close as Mark Hamill can get to a Flying Dutchman voice. Like he doesn't try and put his own spin on it. Like he's trying to do the Brian Doyle Murray voice for the Flying Dutchman, but like putting his own. Like, it's just like a little bit like he can't get it entirely, so he's kind of putting his own twist. This is really gonna be something. Like I don't know. Again, I say it like some of the textures make it look like a video game still. So it does kind of damper like how good the backgrounds and stuff can be. I think the third movie still looks better with its environment. I think this is kind of lacking in some aspects, even though the colors are really good. I think it's lacking in some detail. But maybe that's just like I'm not seeing enough of it, or like this is the final product apparently. So they're not gonna like add a bunch more details to it. But I think that's a good thing though. I'm not gonna say this is like a criticism entirely, because it doesn't need to be like super overly detailed. I think that's sort of like, I'm gonna make an addendum here because I didn't really like my take when I recorded this initially. I think the visuals of a product is not cut and dry whether or not it's detailed or not. I think the first three movies have their own distinct kind of pretty, where Sponge on the Run goes for very well-designed environments and good lighting and stuff like that. I think the first movie really tries to embrace the hand-drawn stuff. I think the second movie tries to really make those backgrounds feel more expansive, things like that. I think there's different things that they emphasize. Like, I think the first movie, their backgrounds, they kind of just look like the show for the most part. I think once they get further into, like, closer to the surface, like closer to Shell City and stuff, it starts to add a little bit more detail. I think the stuff in the trench, you know, they have good environments, but they still were painted like SpongeBob backgrounds, is the thing. Just designed with a little more gravitas, you know, a little bit more depth, stuff like that. And I think that they all have strengths in different forms, and this movie has its own strength in just a lot of the ways that it's visually representing its humor. And I think that's the purpose of the simpler visuals, is I think it's highlighting the humor of it, which I think is definitely going to be at the forefront compared to these other movies. As long as the character designs look solid and the jokes are funny and SpongeBob keeps shitting bricks, then I think it's going to be really something interesting. And I don't know what this live action bit's going to be. And he's back on the surface, which is just like, I don't even know what's happening here. This must be like later on in the movie. I don't know what's happening here. Is it going to be just like a music video in the middle of the movie where they go onto the surface just for like a trippy moment, or are they going to be just like on the surface like they always are? That's what I need to figure out, because I'd prefer that they don't harp on that too long because of how many times they've done it at this point, where they're just in like a long live action sequence. I mean, I'll give the third movie credit that even if they did have a live action sequence, it was technically not like, oh, they're going on the surface again, oh, this and that. But even then, it was just like, it was so drawn out, and it took away from the experience, because it was just like, why are we here? Why is Snoop Dogg here? This and that. This one, I still feel like it'll be. So is that Mark Hamill? I think that, because I know that they put him in a Flying Dutchman costume. That's what I saw in like an interview with Derek Drymon. They were like, oh, we put Mark Hamill in a Flying Dutchman costume. He doesn't even look like himself. So this has to be him, probably. That's, I mean, whoever that is, it's a good costume. Let's see. They're going to the underworld. I like the camera angles. I like just how very, like, I don't know. They're I can't say drawn, but they're just modeled very well to emulate just like the expressions that the characters would usually have. And I think they really did nail the simplicity of it. And I think that is what they're going for. So that's why I can't really call it a criticism to say the backgrounds are like a little bit more plasticky and stuff like that. I think they really are going for like the base, like composition and making them pop. And it still looks very pretty, you know? That's the thing where I go to like the Smurfs movie that's coming out, and it looks so ugly because of just the aesthetic choices they made. But that movie is also very simple in its design work, but it makes it, but like the way that the Smurfs does it makes it look very cheap. Whereas in this, it is kind of like shiny and plasticky and simple, but in a way that makes it feel like SpongeBob. And I think that's probably what they're going for, and that's why I can't knock it, and that's why I think it still looks very good, because all the models are still very high quality. You can tell there's still like good textures on everything. I don't know. So I mean, this hair looks a little bit silly, but I think it's pretty much designed well. But like, you can tell that this was all made intentionally in a way that final product looks aesthetically pleasing, whereas Smurfs, they're putting like face PNGs on 3D models, and it looks disgusting, and it looks cheap, and it looks like they don't know what they're doing with all the design work, and it just like they had an idea for it, and in the final product it just didn't turn out that way, and it looks like really weird. Here it's just, this feels like SpongeBob, this looks like SpongeBob, everything you can expect. I mean, look at that. Like, that's how SpongeBob just should look, just in general. That's like a base SpongeBob expression. Whereas in like the third movie, you probably couldn't make him look like this. He'd look a little bit wonky, a little bit off. This is like, he's like very, because I was looking at that interview with Derek Drymon, and he was talking about the importance of making SpongeBob making SpongeBob emote, and remembering, like, embracing that he's a square instead of making him squash and stretch all over the place. And I think here, you know, they really do make him very rigid and like very like boxy in his poses, where you can see it's all just like bent perfectly like this instead of like some kind of dynamic pose. Like, this is really good, the way he turns around and it just like his eye and his mouth go onto his side. I think that's really a solid like look. It's embracing like the stiffness of the character while also making it just like embracing the comedy of it too. I think that's very strong. Like, This is really good too. I think the characters look awesome, and I think these pirate costumes also look really good too. I think this is gonna be a really fun time just looking at all this. I can't really tell what's going on for half of it, but I think this is gonna be a ton of fun. I'm enjoying the pirate aesthetic. I hope that the merchandising and like the promotion for this movie is gonna be solid. I hope we get we might not get a kids meal toy. I'm not really banking on that. I feel like a lot of McDonald's makes really good kids meal toy sets, but I feel like they're kind of in their own lane where they're kind of making up their own ideas, or they're going with like the most popular toy brand. And if they do a movie promotion, it's like kind of sparse, or it really depends on like what kind of movie it is, or like how much it would really draw in people. I feel like SpongeBob, McDonald's has never really gone for. Burger King might go for SpongeBob because they did Transformers 1 and they did the Smurfs. So I think they might have a lot of the Paramount license. Even though McDonald's had the Sonic 3 license, I don't know how that works out. But they probably will do the SpongeBob movie if no one else does. I know Wendy's did the SpongeBob movie in 2020. I know they did the Sponge on the Run toys. I prefer they don't do another SpongeBob set because that was the most lame set I've ever seen. I'd rather actual toys of the characters, or at least something more aesthetically pleasing that I could like put on my desk. I don't want to put a keychain with a bunch of stickers inside of it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with a toy like that. That's not even a toy, you know. It's just like a box. It's a packaging. It's But either way, I want to get a lot of the pirate plushies that they had. Even though I'm probably gonna have to spend like a ton of money at AMC in order to get any merch related to the movie. Maybe I'll find it cheaper on eBay. Who knows? I'm really the colors are still something to get used to. They're very bright, but I just like how these characters look. I think they're still very funny. These are very funny designs, and they're really nailing it in terms of just the style of it. I'm glad that they're including Sandy and Mrs. Puff in this scene, whereas in the first movie they would probably not. You know, they have like one scene to themselves. I hope they get involved to some extent in this movie. I know that like Sandy is not in any of the promotional material, but I think she'd be great included in any scene. I mean, Mrs. Puff, you can kind of take or leave, but still, like, Sandy's an important character, and I feel like they do nothing really with her. I mean, you know, she's barely in the show these days. What are they going to do with her if not just sideline her? You know, there's only so many characters you can put in like a main cast in a movie, I guess, to like not overcrowd it. I just hope that maybe they gave her a side role or something that assists the plot. I don't really know. I mean, I know that was Plankton in this trailer? Yeah, Plankton was here. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Plankton. Like, I didn't expect Plankton to have any role in this movie because I was thinking about Flying Dutchman being a villain. I don't really know what his goal is going to be. Maybe he's going to sneak onto the ship. I'm not really sure. And again, I feel like I know very little about the plot of this movie. I know that SpongeBob and friends are going to the underworld. SpongeBob wants to be a man or something. So he runs into the Flying Dutchman and he joins his crew, and SpongeBob gets kidnapped by the Flying Dutchman, so the rest of them maybe go after him or something. I mean, it seems like they're like all the characters are kind of involved from the start with the Flying Dutchman stuff. So I'm not entirely sure. Also, I want to go into, I think I've talked enough about the visuals and stuff. The voice direction here, perfect. I think the voices here are going to be absolutely insane. Because just going off of his I'm Ready. Where is it? Listen to this.
I'm ready!
I've never heard him sound like that in like it's been like 10 years since I've heard a good I'm Ready like that. We just got off of SpongeBob's Timeline Twist Up where they try to do the I'm Ready sound and it's awful. It's like, it sounds awful. Because they just, like, I don't know what's going on with the voice direction, but it's just, they don't sound like the characters anymore. They don't know how to talk like the characters anymore. But then you look at this movie, and he does the exact, like, pitch and everything. And you're like, was it really just the voice direction? I thought the voice actors were just getting tired. He can just do the I'm Ready from, like, season 1. I thought because like over the years, you know, in the early seasons, SpongeBob would always do like a very high pitched scream or like a high pitched like yell or something like that. He'd always go for like the falsetto, and they would always have a big range of voices. When you get into the next like batch of it, like post movie, his scream was very much toned down into like a more lower tone scream, like a less funny scream. It's just like a normal scream. You don't hear him go into that like higher range, except for just like the fact that his voice is kind of higher and kind of nasalier. Here, it's like you don't he sounds like the character. Because I know that Tom Kenny is very skilled as a voice actor. I know that he can pull these things off. I know he's always been able to. Like,
I'm ready!
Let's go!
that, like, there's so much energy in it. There is so much energy. I know for a fact that Derek Drymon and Steven Hillenburg in the pre-movie era, they were like the main voice directors, as far as I know. I think they were like the main people that like dictated, oh, I want this line to sound like this. I think this sounds better than this. The fact that Derek Drymon is like a big part in the voice direction for this movie, I think is going to play a huge part in all of these jokes landing how they should, and for this movie feeling like SpongeBob is solely in the fact that the voice direction is the way it is. I think that's going to change a lot of it, because I think the entirety of the franchise for the past while, especially post-sequel era, the voices just don't sound right. They don't really push it hard. They don't really push their voices hard enough. The deliveries are always kind of wrong, and it always messes up the joke, because it's like they're really not sure what to do with every line, and they're kind of just like going through the motions of it instead of really making each line pop. I think, as someone who makes a bunch of cartoons and stuff and Lego SpongeBob videos and stuff, I think voice direction is one of the most crucial aspects in making something good, especially for kids media, because I think kids media, they'll really latch on to the way a character says something, because like when someone's still like developing their brain and stuff like that, these are the kind of moments that are going to attach in their brain where, you know, if you get a movie that has good voice direction, those lines are going to stick in their head for a long time. You know, it's like they're going to hear that character's voice in their head, and they're going to be able to go off of that and like play with their toys and like think of the characters' voices and stuff like that. Or you'll think of a certain line that's good, and you'll think of it because of the line delivery is good. Things like that. I think for kids media especially, you know, it's important to have the way a line be read be as poppy, as like good of a cadence, as like much high effort, high range, and everything like that. Anything to sell every single line, every single moment. I think it's always so important, and I think the newest episodes of SpongeBob completely fail at that, and I think this movie is going to succeed. That laugh is really good. That's really good. I'm gonna like let me just like go through the voice lines, because I was not really like analyzing them.
About to go
Watch where you're going.
Sorry.
Wait, no.
where they've never.
Like that's a classic like first movie moment. I think it's basically like did the same joke from first movie again, where he's like, "Oh, watch where you're going," and he just like keeps like stepping on him. That's good. That's good voice direction. I mean, it's kind of cut off, so I don't really know what's going on, but it sounds like the characters. It sounds like they've got a good cadence to them. Patrick, honestly, his voice direction does sound very pre-movie here. I think, like, his voice direction, like, Bill Fagerbakkey's always been good at voicing Patrick. I think to this day, he's always done a good Patrick voice. He's never sounded tired. He's never sounded like bad necessarily. It's just the fact that the delivery has always been different. And the way that he does the Patrick voice in the newer ones, it always feels a little bit over exaggerated, a little bit like I don't know, like a little bit on the nose in just terms of how the lines are said, and maybe a little bit too slow. I think this goes back to the more doofy nature of his voice. I think more the gravelly nature of his voice. Just going off of this, like, ahoy alone. Like, you hear it more, like, he has a more, like, gravelier tone, whereas the new ones, he just kind of goes anywhere with the voice, and it's kind of different. I want to think about Mark Hamill's voices the Dutchman real quick.
The underworld is not for the faint of heart.
That's gonna be a very interesting voice to get used to. I can't even say, like, listening to it again, I can't even say that it's really that close to the Brian Doyle Murray voice, because it's just it's very high and it's very Mark Hamill. I can't lie. It's like he's clearly trying something of his own. It's just I mean I'll if that's the direction they want to go with it, I think that'll be very interesting. It's just a matter of, as long as he gets the comedic bits in, and, you know, Mark Hamill has had a lot of really amazing voice roles, and I know that he's going to probably nail it because he's great at, like, all the voices he does, like Skips. I mean, I haven't seen much of the Batman show, but I think the clips I've seen of the Joker, he does an amazing job there. I think he's probably going to nail it in his own way. I do miss having the classic Flying Dutchman voice. I think, you know, that voice did really kind of like embody the character. And I think hopefully whatever Mark Hamill does allows for the vision of the movie to really maintain itself. But we'll see. It is definitely different. I can't lie. I can't get over SpongeBob shitting a brick. Where did that go from? Why is that part of it? Like, it's so stupid. Like, it's just like a weird thing to be like, hey, oh, that's part of the movie now. SpongeBob just, like, is...
My lucky brick.
Is it just like a joke where it just comes out of his pocket? I think that's probably what it is. I don't think he actually, like shat it out. But that's still so weird. That's such a weird joke to put it in. It's still, like, it's memorable, so I can't say it's a bad joke or it's, like, not like SpongeBob. I think it's pretty funny, so I'll take it. He looks, honestly, really well designed here. I really like how boxy, I like how, like, his arms, they bend in a very specific way here. I think that's very intentional. I like the way that they're not just, like, because again, I need to go back to there's a part of the interview where he was talking about how people will draw SpongeBob moving around and they'll give him a very cliche, like, squash and stretch, very Bugs Bunny kind of movement. And he goes completely against that. He's like, SpongeBob is a square, he's very nerdy, he's very stiff, and it's important to embrace the boxiness of his design more than anything, instead of trying to make him, like, squash and move around everywhere and be as expressive and stretchy and crazy movement as possible. I think this is definitely embracing that in a way that I'm so glad that they're doing. I want to see how that is executed going forwards, because I think it's like what I've seen so far with this, it's like they look very solid, they look like themselves, and I think that was always the important aspect of the show's branding, is just SpongeBob was very rigid and very symmetrical, and that was a part of a lot of the charm. Is just, it was very aesthetically pleasing, where he's very stiff, but in a way that, like, embodies his character. And I think that always gave him character. I think stretching him out and making him all Looney Tunes-ish or whatever, I think it kind of goes against the design philosophy of the character, and kind of, you know, you can do it if you want. And I think there's ways to do it where he looks, like, interesting. But I think this is going to make this movie really pop, and it's going to really be reminiscent of those early seasons, is mostly what the point I'm trying to make. You know, it's like you can have him, it's like you can have different eras where he looks a different way. You can design him however you want with a different showrunner and things like that. But to have a new movie in the new age and the new, like, the new decades that embraces those older kind of design philosophies and understanding the show's roots, and it's the things that made it the way it was in the beginning, I think embracing those things, I think that's going to be so important for this movie and its success. And I think that's something that I really hope people pay attention to. I'm really excited to see more of it, because I think this is definitely a very light teaser where you're kind of getting a lot of stuff out of context, but in a way that allows you to understand the charm and the vibe and the jokes more than anything, which I think is going to be the important aspect. I think this movie is going to be less about the heart and the emotion compared to like the other movies. I think this one might go for more of the jokes and the action of it is what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be a lot more trying to make you laugh, and I think the last few movies have definitely gone for more of the emotional aspect, going up and down with that and trying to find the heart of the show. And I think we've seen a lot of that. I think I want to see a movie that highlights the comedy a little bit more, that even if it is more like an extended episode or something like that, in terms of just like, oh, it's just telling more jokes in a longer runtime. I kind of just want to see what it does, and I want to see what kind of directions they'll go with going into this, because I think this is a very much a breath of fresh air going into this. I really like how they're designing him. I like this. I like whenever they give SpongeBob a circular mouth, it always makes me happy. I think he looks very funny. There's like a lot of season 6 expressions where he looks like this, and it's always very funny to look at. It's like very cute design. I'm very excited. Everything really does feel like how it should, you know. I think I don't see enough of like this show like acting the way it should, you know. It's like you see the new SpongeBob episodes, and I watched Timeline Twist Up, and I'm just it was very disappointing just to see how off everything felt, and how it's like watching something like that, you feel like you're not gonna get the same kind of experience with SpongeBob again. Whereas it's like you're gonna give the show so many good ideas, but the problem is literally just an execution. The problem is literally just the fact that they're not drawn the way that people would want them to be drawn, and they're not being voiced the way people would want them to be voiced. It's literally, you can make a million ideas with this show. It's a matter of execution, and that's what people are always worried about, and they're always saying that's why everyone always complains, you know? Like I think there's a lot of stuff where a lot of people don't enjoy it that I do enjoy it. I'm very tolerant with a lot of stuff. I think I grew up on the era of the franchise that people kind of got sick of, you know, like season 6, 7, and 8. Like, I was growing up with that stuff, and I became attached to that stuff, and I was able to find things that I valued about it, even though people were kind of like hating on it a lot back then. I think a lot of people have grown to turn around on it. And even with like the post-sequel era, even though it's not my cup of tea half the time, I think there's still a lot of interesting things to glean from just the ideas and the more interesting animation style. I think there's a lot of stuff to glean from it. But I think this is going to please a lot of people, is the conclusion I'm trying to get to. I think this is going to really have a lot of the aesthetics that people are missing from like normal SpongeBob. I think I have a lot of faith in Derek Drymon, because I know he knows this character and he knows this show. He built it from the ground up with Steven Hillenburg. So if there's anyone else besides Hillenburg that would know this show, I feel like it has to be Derek Drymon. I feel like he would definitely know. I mean, it's definitely going to be his own kind of flavor of SpongeBob. And I know that he has other, over the years, he's definitely done a lot of different projects that probably have shaped him in a way that makes his vision for a 20 years later movie different than how he would back when he was working on the original show. I know that the philosophy of it is going to be different. I know that whatever other old artists they're going to have on, they're also going to probably have different visions than they would. You know, it's like I think they got Aaron Springer on there, and I know that Aaron Springer's like style has very much evolved over the years. Become very different, and for the show, I can't really tell what angle he's going to go at it with, but no matter how different it is, I feel like this teaser gives me a lot of hope that it's really going to match the energy that I'd hope it would have, basically. I think it's going to be very fun. I think that's the most important aspect. I think regardless of it visually not like being insane or trying to go for like a Puss in Boots style or something, like Gary flipping swords at 2 frames per second, and it's really cool. I think that what they're going for here specifically is just to have fun, and I'm really excited for that in particular. I'm seeing a lot of good here. I'm seeing a very SpongeBob energy. I think that everyone looks how they should. I think that is like the expressions and the designs are really solid. I like this Mr. Krabs face actually. I like that they put his back, like the back of his head ridges here. I like that they put him on his side for this expression. So like it like makes a good silhouette. I really like how they designed him there. I think this is just going to be a very solidly designed movie. I think this is going to be very fun to watch. And I'm very excited to see how they push this movie. I really hope that they do the show justice. Whatever this ends up being, I think it's just going to be very interesting to see. And just having another new SpongeBob experience is going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that. I don't really think I have any other thoughts, but if I do, then I'll post them on my Twitter. That's at Noah's Blobs on Twitter. I feel like a lot of people I deleted my old Twitter and then I made a new one, and then I have like 100 followers on it, and I used to have 1,000. I don't know if people know that I have a Twitter. I don't even think that people want to be on Twitter anymore. So because it's not even technically called Twitter anymore, but still, if you want to hear my thoughts on anything, I'm on there mostly. I don't always tweet very regularly, but I try my best to be pretty consistent talking about stuff. So if you ever want to see some extra thoughts from me, then you go there. I feel like I wonder, like, I feel like when other trailers and more information comes out, I'll make more videos on this. I think, compared to the show, I think this movie is something that I do really want to cover. Just on the basis that it's just a very interesting movie that looks like it's really harkening back to the original charm of the show. And that's something that really does pull me in. Considering I've been talking about this for almost 40 minutes, that should show you that I'm very passionate about not only this show, but this movie specifically. I really, if people like hearing my thoughts on this, then I'll talk about it more. But if you don't care, then I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, maybe I'll do one or two more. I'll probably do a review of the movie once it comes out, something like that. But I think that's gonna do it for me now. This does look very interesting, and I'm very excited to dig more into it. Probably collect some merchandise, make some merchandise collecting videos, probably. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty solid. I don't really know anything else I can say. Leave some comments down below. If you have any other thoughts, I'd like to hear them. I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is really, there's a lot here. I think I'm really excited to see where they're going with this. I think this does feel like very, like, this feels like SpongeBob. It's the final conclusion I can make. This really, really feels like SpongeBob in a way that I have not felt in a little while, It's like so much has changed in the franchise and so much stuff just feels inauthentic that this really, really does feel like the show in a way that I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm very happy about that. And I hope that the marketing push and just the audience excitement, I hope that it's positive. I hope this movie is seen in a positive light amidst all the Sandy movies that are out there and stuff like that. I hope that people will not see this as like the 6th SpongeBob movie and see it as like the 4th or even like the 3rd one to come out in theaters. It's like, I technically consider it the 3rd movie. Just like Sponge on the Run was just so off and it just didn't even come out in theaters. I could just consider this the 3rd one and be like, oh, they're coming out with a movie every 10 years or something like that, and just go with that delusion instead. But either way, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to say, I just hope that people value this movie as something different than everything else that's coming out, SpongeBob wise. I hope that it's a standout, and it just reminds people like what they valued about this show, because it is reminding me of a lot of the choices and philosophies that made it great in the first place, and I think that's something I'm really looking forward to. So Yeah, whatever other thoughts you have leave them in the comments below. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'm very excited. See you. Bye.